I'm joined by Aaron Dunn and Baz Gardner. First, Aaron, I want to say congratulations on moving your way up the
SPAA chain of
SPAA chain of
yeah.
Which is really good. And so we're going to talk about social media, which is, well, you know, how big is it now? Like, what is it now? It's everything. See, I'd still go tweet, Facebook. That's social media. That is right.
Yeah, absolutely. But
The way I describe social media is it's any chance for you to have an interaction that can go beyond just one-to-one.
Right.
So what we're doing right now is social media. So
No, see, I'm old-fashioned. I'd say what we're doing now is having a discussion, and this is something social media finds very hard to do, is to have a normal, where I can look at you, I can see you're smiling, and I can see you looking at me going, what the hell is your problem, right? Right? But we can all read each other in a normal way that the caveman did as well.
Yep.
Once we start texting and emailing and tweeting, I can't read you anymore unless you put a smiley face on the end. And even then I'm going, is he being sarcastic? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there are some tools now that still allow us to be able to look at each other visually and get that read. And I think yesterday we saw with Pete Williams talk about Skyping and those sorts of things. And it's just, we've now got ways in which we can create two-way conversation rather than where simply over the journey, it's literally just been push in terms of the way that we want to go about it. But importantly, as Baz said quite rightly, is we can actually further develop the relationships that we actually have. And yet it's not about distancing ourselves from the conversations we're having today, but it's creating and entrenching that even further.
So we don't want to stop the personal interaction, the opposite.
Yeah.
But it's a way that you can enhance that. So you can still have more conversations, you can deepen the communication, but you can do it far more effectively. Before we could only have this little tiny network of people that we could have that deep relationship with.
Yeah.
Now we can have a much bigger network and we can strengthen and improve on the depth of it. That's what the tool is.
The brave new frontier of social media is not so brave and certainly not so new anymore.
Yeah, without question, and I think what we spoke about with the session is the importance of it not just being about you, but it's got to be everything in your business. So this concept of actually becoming a social business and what that means both to you internally in your organisation and externally to your brand.
Okay. It's hard for some businesses to quantify. There's a major car manufacturer because the guy told me he spends upwards of $8 million a year on social media and he has no idea on the return. Like literally no idea, but he knows he has to spend it, a lot of money, because if he's not in that space, then...
So this is how I'd describe that, and it's been my experience as well. We've worked with a lot of professional services firms. That's the business that I care about, the relationship businesses, and using it for that. And what tends to happen is in the first year, you can quantify it, because you'll get a client call up and say, I saw the video on your website, I have to do business with you, or I saw your post on Twitter, or they tweet you, or they talk, via these channels. In the second year and beyond, it becomes it's hard to quantify. It's like me saying to you, in a normal business, what's the ROI for you having a phone? What's the ROI for you having email?
Right.
Because when you're doing this properly, every client has some interconnection with what you've put out there, whether they've seen a video or they've heard from someone who has, or they've interacted with you online. It just becomes part of what you do. And
so the thing is that the world's got to change to actually accept that, all the old dinosaur-y type people.
Well, if you didn't implement email in your business and you kept saying, "Oh, this is a fad and a trend," what would have happened?
We'd be happier.
Yeah, we'd be a lot happier.
And if they phone, we'd be happier.
If they didn't put it on bloody mobile phones either, it'd be even better.
Okay, what are people doing right? Let's start with that. And what are people doing wrong?
I think the people that are doing it right are clearly defining what they stand for within their business, and articulate that very well, because people can then start to engage with who they are and what their organisation stands for, and then being able to validate their skills and so forth as being a professional as well. So we'll get to the point in the industry where we will have a whole range of SMSF specialists lined up, but how do you determine which one you actually want to go with? And it's where that personality will come through and what you ultimately stand for, and social media, and that those tools will enable you to do that.
Okay, how important is it for someone to actually know what they want to be? I mean, ideally you should be yourself, but that's not always the case.
Well, see, part of the problem is as businesses, we haven't really defined well enough and with enough clarity what our purpose is, what the actual purpose of the entity is, the business. What do we do with our clients? What's it like for a client to be a client of ours? And if you don't define that, you've got nothing really valuable to say. So what we're seeing, and it's happening everywhere, is social media is being used as this new advertising marketing tool. So professionals will go and hire a web developer, pay a lot of money to get them number one on Google, and they'll hire an agency to put out tweets and LinkedIn posts for them. And none of it actually does any of those things that I've just talked about. Marketing and advertising for relationship businesses has never worked because we're not like Red Bull. It's not brand and price equals a sale. You know, I'm a bit tired and you're asking me lots of questions. I'm a bit flat. I want wings, I can go buy Red Bull. But if someone puts out a brand message about advice or a trustee service or any of those things, I've still got to have a connection with a person to make a decision to engage in that. And so the only brand that matters at that point is who the person is.
Right, and so why aren't they, why don't they do that? Because well, the way you explain it seems like a fairly straightforward equation, so where is that falling down?
I think it's the misconception, again, that social media and the leverage it gives for business is about advertising and promotion.
Yeah.
It's not. Relationship businesses have always based themselves on referrals and word of mouth and that depth of relationship.
Yeah, but is part of the problem that you've got, I mean, what have you got? Someone looks at a web page, you would know that it's a second or 2.4 seconds that you've got to get their attention.
Yeah, and they go to the About Us and you see the rhetoric there.
Yeah.
Click, gone.
So we've looked at all the stats for, you know, accountants, lawyers, financial advisors. 98.9% of traffic goes to the About Us section.
Yeah.
Average time on page is like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
The variability between 4 and 7 seconds is how good the photo is of the people on the About Us section, but they're still clicking away. And the reason is because what is there is the same stuff that everyone else says.
Okay.
I've been in the industry for this many years, I'm experienced in this, that's my services.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, tell them who you are.
Yeah, but how do you tell them in an interesting way so that you don't, because what's interesting is, you know, how long he's been in his business for.
But why has he been in the business?
And why he's so good. But so what do you do? I'm awesome. Have a picture of a Ferrari.
What makes him get up? What makes him get up out of bed every day? Why does he want to be a financial planner or accountant and create solutions for his clients?
So the first thing I'd say is you're right, and that's why we recommend using video for this medium.
Yeah.
For starters, people will give a video 30 seconds instead of 4 to 10. And in that video, what do you say? No, you don't say I'm awesome. You don't say this is what I do or how many years experience. There's no pictures of Ferraris. Why? What do you care about? Why do you do what you do? And what that does is let someone go, you know what? I get this person. I actually want to find out more. This might be the person I need to get some help from.
So the tool is share yourself, share your actual self.
You're spot on.
In a social media sense.
Absolutely.
Without
Okay,
question.
great.
And when you do that,
I'm exhausted.
and when you do that, it's so clear because people just go, wow, finally, someone I can do business with.
Okay.
And they come to you and they just line up.
Yeah. So if you're what floats your boat is covered in tats and you got whatever it is, there's a market for you, and there's a guy surfing around looking
there
for
are lots of you
going,
Finally.
okay, fine.
Yeah,
Be
spot on.
yourself.
Finally.
Great.
And the revolution of social media is that it gives so
The
much...
revolution.
It is. This is the revolution bit. Because it gives so much scale to that human interaction, you don't have to do anything else. Because, like you said, even if just 1% of the population go, that's the kind of person I want to do business with, well, you're going to have more clients than you can handle.
Yeah. Okay, great. We'll see you next year in the plenary, eh?
Hope to do
That's
so.
the plan. Thanks very much. Great
Thanks,
to chat.
Andrew.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
Andrew. Cheers, mate.
Great to really chat.
Absolutely.
Maybe after we can chat.
I'll shoot you a video.
We'll
Sweet.
Skype on the screens. I'll go that end, you go that end.
Love it.